What is going on, YouTube? We are back with another video, and in this video, what I want to talk to you guys about is why hiring a mentor is the best thing you can do if you want to get to your goals, whether it be financial, physical, spiritual, whatever, really, bro. There are really three sectors when it comes to helping people change their life, and everything's going to factor down into either wellness and fitness, which is, health, or financial, or relationships, finances slash wealth, and health. Now, understanding this, I think now I can go into why a mentor is so important. You know, I, for the longest time, had a lot of doubts in my mind about hiring a mentor, working with somebody, paying them a lot of money to get to the place I wanted to be. And the reason that I had so many doubts in my mind was because I didn't have anybody in my immediate circle, none of my cousins, none of my siblings, none of my friends that I hung out with in person, none of the people I had worked with at previous jobs. Nobody ever, actually one person, but he didn't get results because he didn't do everything. And I'm not gonna, go into the details there. But like, actually, two people. But most of the people I had spoken with, like, had never actually done the thing and been successful. And most of them, you know, didn't even take the risk at all. So I was, of course, adamant, or I should say, apprehensive to, doing the same, right? Like, why would we make a decision that we know is very unlikely? We don't want to, as humans, we want to try to prevent and minimize risks. But for me, I always knew that there was something deeper, as I'm just going to quickly touch on my story, and then you guys can skip like 2 minutes if you want to hear the process of how I was able to, get my business off the ground with mentors. But before we do that, I just want to talk about like what got me to this point. I was working as a personal trainer, and I always felt like there was more, right? I always knew that there was opportunity to make more money for myself, to, learn skills, to start my own business. I always knew it because I watched a lot of YouTube videos when I was younger, and I just had a different way of thinking about certain things that other people with more of a fixed mindset might have. Right, this book right here, I'm not going to pull it up, it's under my whiteboard, but it's called Mindset by Carol Dweck. And it talks about a fixed versus growth mindset. And I'm sure you guys are all familiar, but it goes really in depth into like what the difference is. And I think a lot of people that I grew up with in my life had a fixed mindset where they had negative limiting beliefs, and those were reflected on me. Now, you've probably heard the saying, the five people you surround yourself with are the people that rub off on you, and that's how you become the person you become. And that can be positive or negative. And for me, I went through this period of time where I was a lot more isolated, and I started to consume a lot of content on the internet, YouTube, listening to audiobooks, reading books. How it really started was I was working as a personal trainer, and while there, I had the opportunity to work for an entrepreneur that was doing a lot of money. And I remember he gave me his iPad, the work iPad. I did actually borrow it a couple times. If he's watching this video, sorry, bro, I needed it for work related things. But basically, he was like, "Hey, this is the work iPad. You can use it if you ever need to outside of there, but try to just use it here." And I'd be like, "Okay." So I remember thinking to myself, "This guy makes a lot of money, right? Like, there's no way he just has these multiple businesses if he doesn't have a lot of money." So I would look sometimes at, how much money he would make on a monthly basis, on a weekly basis, and then I started looking at it on a daily basis, like how much money was coming in, and it was absurd how much money he was bringing in, right? Like, literally, there were days where he made $20,000 in a single day, and I'm like, bro, what is going on? Like, where's this money coming from? Like, I'm at the time working as a personal trainer, making 500-600 bucks bi-weekly, barely getting by, bro. My whole entire life, I grew up in literal poverty with my family having very little money, and I'm super grateful for what I did have. But to be honest, like, the people that I spent my time with when I was younger were in very similar positions, and most of our parents just didn't have money. And the few friends that I felt, or that I found out their parents had money, I remember just thinking that I was so much different than them, and that it wasn't possible. And eventually, I started to realize, like, wait a second, like, people actually do have careers that make a lot of money. And so when I started to dive into that, I had opportunities present themselves. And then when I was working for this entrepreneur, years later, I remember thinking to myself, like, how is it that he's making $20,000 in a single day? some weeks he had like $50,000 in a single week come in. And the reason I know this is I would literally be on his iPad looking at the transactions. And of course, I didn't have information to like all the numbers, and like I'm not the type of person to like ever pull some funny stuff, right? But I just remember seeing like the balance, and it was this little chart graph that showed like how much money he brought in weekly, monthly, daily, and then quarterly, and then the past year. And it was like absurd, like hundreds of thousands of dollars. It wasn't in the millions, right? But also, like, this guy was not that much older than me. I started to really like ponder with it. Like, wait a second, like, what is it that he's doing that I'm not? Like, what does he know or have that I don't? And so I remember during that time looking on his YouTube For You page and seeing like he's definitely watching other videos or other content, or has more education than I do, which at the time he did, and is very knowledgeable. And I started to realize that as I went on his YouTube page on his iPad, like all of the videos were like the same things I was watching for the most part. I was like, okay, like this guy like isn't that much different than me. Like I'm on this path myself, right? It's just a matter of, when this. I just had somebody book a call and whatever, dude. I'll check that later. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so like basically this guy, you know, was not that much different than me. And that's how I looked at money growing up, is like these people are way different people. They're not humans, pretty much, bro. And eventually I started to just like think differently about it. And during that time there, everything opened. And I started to see how a real business was actually run, how people actually make money in a business. And it was a brick and mortar. For those of you guys that aren't aware, brick and mortar is basically just like not an online business. I'm not going to go into the specifics, but it's basically like, hey, this guy started this business up himself. Really, if you want to get technical, he started the business and then became a franchisee. But I'm not going down that whole rabbit hole. But I just noticed this guy was making a lot of money. He wasn't that much older than me, and he carried himself with a lot of conviction in what he did, the way he spoke, the way he acted, the types of books he read. And I wanted to be like him. I'd like to be super direct, and I learned a lot from him. And ultimately, I realized like there was a market gap, and when I realized there was a market gap, that's when I took off and I started my own business. Now, I'm not going to go super in depth. I know you guys want the process, right? That's just like a brief like story on my process and what got me into this. And of course, I could go on and all the stories, but I'm not here to do that. I actually had somebody comment on one of my recent videos, like, dude, like you took so long to actually tell, about how the funnel works and how the thing actually works. So I'm just going to get right into it, right? 7 and 8 minutes later. So essentially, in a nutshell, I started investing in mentors. And so I invested a lot of money into a mentor that I had never invested before, that made a promise that he was going to get me to my end goal of making significant amounts of money every month and working with a bunch of clients. In the first couple of months, it was like dry. Like I didn't have success. And I started thinking, it's not going to work, getting in my own head. And then eventually, slowly and surely, everything started to pay off tenfold. Everything started to pay off. And I started to realize all of the people I was surrounding myself with in the community, the hundreds of other members that were making money on the internet, people that were in positions I wanted to be, people that were in better shape, that were more disciplined, that were taking more action consistently, were getting these results. And even some of the people that I felt like weren't that disciplined, that would barely show up on the calls, even they started to become successful. And I think just being around these people, it really rubbed off on me. And I'm the type of person that I love taking action, but I also noticed that for a while, I was holding myself back. I was in my own way because I wasn't doing enough. And these people, fortunately, we share the same faith. Nothing against anybody, but it was a Christian business group, and being surrounded by these people really, instilled in me a layer of conviction and confidence in myself. And also, you know, the word that I think comes to mind when I think of this program, and I actually have it written on a note on my wall, is the word brevity, which is like direct and to the point. Like just telling you what needs to be done. And that's what all of the people in this group did. They didn't beat around the bush. They didn't tell me like it's okay. They told me the cold hard truth. And that is what actually pushed me to grow. And that's why when I coach my fitness coaching clients, that's what I tell them. Like, bro, this is what you need to do, exactly to the point. I don't sugarcoat things. I don't make it seem fluff. As much as I used to be that type of guy, the type of coach that would be nice, the people I'm working with are here for results. So I have to be direct and to the point, and I have to be an authoritative leader if I want these people to get actual real results. And so when I started to tap into doing that, which started to just rub off on me from the people I was being mentored and coached by, everything started to pay off. And so like the reason that mentors are so substantial in getting you to the results you're after is they've literally done the things that you want to do. And if you have doubts that they have, then it's like, okay, there's going to be risk, right? It's either you trust that this person is actually telling you the truth and actually did this, or you don't trust them and you stay stuck. But either way, you're going to have to make the decision. There's a risk there. But when I just decided to go out on a leap and like make that bold move of trusting them, everything started to pay off, and it wasn't immediate. It took multiple months, and eventually things started to actually click. And I realized the skills I needed, I had them all along. I was just horrible at all of them. Like I didn't know how to do any of these things. And then I had a little bit of success, and then everything started to compile all at once, and I started to really see tangible results. And so what happened then was, I realized that forever moving forward, I would continue to invest in the mentors because truly we have money or we have time, and we can only pay with one or the other currency. And I talked about this just briefly in my video yesterday, but you can either choose to pay in time or pay in money. And for me, I decided to pay in money because I had paid in time for too long. I paid all this time, spending outside of my regular job. And then eventually when I left my job, we parted ways, and I tried to figure it out on my own. It didn't work. And honestly, a buddy of mine took a coaching program, invested into a mentor, a lot of money, didn't get the results, but said, hey, you can follow this program. It's free. Like, I'll just give you access to the course. And I remember being like, everything's unlocked. And I had some results from it, but not everything. And, even that, like, it gave me a couple steps ahead, but it didn't give me everything. So I started to realize, like, okay, I need an actual mentor that's going to give me step by step the blueprint of what I need to do. So when I started to do that, I realized that forever I will continue to invest in mentors. And I was talking in my video yesterday, I just invested into another mentor. And I'm not exaggerating when I say this. Literally 3 hours after making that investment, sending the money to her, literally, bro, I made the money right back, like all of it. And I also think that certain things, you know, compile with repetition. So I don't think it's one thing or another. I've also been reading books. I've been listening to podcasts, audiobooks, talking to other entrepreneurs in the space, researching on my own. But really, I think it's the compilation of, really, education and knowledge and implementation that's allowed me to get to the position I'm at today. And after investing in a second mentor, I realized that the other mentor that I'm still working with to this day, I'm learning more and more from him, right? Because A, I'm taking more serious and I'm paying more attention, but also B, some of the things from the other program are allowing me to absorb more information from the other program, right? And so like now it's like, okay, I'm just getting more information, and I will continue to invest in that because literally since investing into these mentors, I got to a point where like I don't have to worry about my career anymore. Not to say everything's not stressful, not to say I don't have problems, but in the past my problems were waiting on payday, waiting on my paycheck, having my managers tell me that the paycheck was coming in late because, payroll was delayed for some reason, which doesn't make sense to me. Or, not being able to work because of the snow, things like that, right? And when I started my own business, I realized that I could make my own rules. I literally could make my own rules. I could determine what I wanted to earn. I could determine how much I wanted to work. And I literally started to realize that what I do for a living, I literally am so passionate about. I love helping people with fitness, and I also love helping people with business. And so tying in my faith, my fitness, and mindset with my fitness coaching program, helping clients get results that way, and then having them ask me questions about how to help them with their business, open up another gap in my brain, really, which was like I could just help people with their business too. And then I started to actually implement it and realized that now I can intertwine the two and help people with all avenues, right? And so for me, everything I unlocked because I simply decided to take a risk and invest into a mentor. They made it was like made me believe that it was actually possible, and I saw real results of people doing these things, the things I wanted to do financially, career-wise, successfully traveling, all sorts of Shazam, people with better physiques than me, like all these things started to push my standard up higher, right? But also, I started to have ideas come to me more and more because I saw things from a different lens, and I had more information, more implementation. And so I think investing into a mentor is the best thing you can do, hands down. And I think that's one of the biggest things I will teach my children one day is invest into knowledge. When I was a kid, I was always told, college is a scam. Going to college is a scam. You're going to waste money, go into debt, etc. Right? And I, in some other videos, might have said different, right? Because I don't think college is ideal for everyone, but I think it's great for some people. It gets them a career. But for me, I never wanted to work a regular job. And so that paired with the sense of everybody around me, my family, telling me that college was like not going to work out, made me think that college was like a scam or like was not the move, right? And so I eventually realize now that it's not the college or the no college that's a tough decision. It's making decision to invest in your education and the information you have. Because truly the information you have increases your skill sets, and your skill sets will allow you to get results. For those of you guys that have been following my fitness coaching process for a while, I talk about how any result we want comes from the skills that are applied, and those skills are developed by consistent actions, which are formed into habits. And those actions, the only way we can take these actions if is if we have specific beliefs about ourselves. We're not going to take actions that we aren't aligned with and congruent with. And so taking these actions all stem from our belief systems, and the belief systems are from our thought patterns. And so thought patterns are literally from mindset. And like this book Mindset that I talk about, it's so crucial because it's like if you have the right mindset and you just think it's possible and you try, you literally can't fail, bro. You can't fail as long as you actually try. And it seems so cliche and stupid and simple, but it really, as long as you have the right mindset, you're going to be able to actually get the results you say you want. So if you have the right thought patterns and belief systems, then you can get the results. And the reason now I look at education differently is because in the past, I didn't think college was something that was a good investment. But now I look at it as not not the route of where you get the education, but education in general is the best thing you can invest your money into, because you're going to get back all this time, right? So investing into mentorships, investing into courses and programs, investing into buying books, paying for Audible. I remember literally, bro, a couple of years back, not wanting to pay $15.99 for an Audible membership because I didn't want to spend money. But then the $15.99 that I spent per month, literally I listened to like 20 Audible books a month on average, like 15 to 20 like books. And I would just like consume information. And things started to shift because literally I was just surrounded by more successful people. Like a lot of my clients at the time, were professors of Harvard University, data and research analysts. I worked with some high level CEOs. Like I said, I worked under an entrepreneur. And so like all of these things, started to rub off on me. And that eventually led into me investing into this mentorship program. And I remember, having this epiphany of a moment when I realized that like, this is like not that long ago, when I realized that like education is literally the one thing that can change your life. Because the education, you know, correlates directly with your thought patterns and your belief systems. If you have more education and you know more, you're going to, of course, think about yourself differently. So some of this you can control with the mindset, with choosing to think about yourself a different way. But also, if you consume more information, especially if it's educational information, right? Like eventually you're just going to have no other choice than to start thinking about yourself in a different lens. And this leads to a better thought pattern, better beliefs, more conviction in yourself and the actions you take, right? More confidence, more self-belief, more self-worth. And these feelings are just portrayed externally into the actions you take, which form those consistent habits. And those habits, again, they just lead to skills which are applied at problems you have, and that leads to results. So if you have a problem of being overweight, but you have the beliefs of being a healthy individual, somebody that prioritizes his fitness or her fitness, or whoever's fitness, then eventually you become a person that is in better shape. Maybe it takes time, of course. Maybe it's hard, but you have the belief systems and eventually it leads to the results. Same thing with financials. You believe you're somebody that's worthy, that is possible to make this kind of money. And then next thing you know, you start taking actions that align with that. And now you have that kind of career, that kind of, financial success, right? And I think that like a mindset is everything, really. But I think like for me, when I actually started to tap into the fact that people that had information that I did not have, if I were to just lean into what they were saying, actually believe them, and pay them money to get access to that information and have it actually applied into my life and my current situations quicker, that would bring me back all the money I needed, all of the results I needed. Because I was literally getting information. I just had to apply it, and I just knew exactly what to do. But so many people, I think, hold themselves back. At least I did. I don't know about all of you guys watching. I think more and more as I talk on these types of videos and I document my entrepreneurial journey, I think that, I ponder and sometimes think, like maybe the people watching these videos on the other side of the screen, maybe they already think this way, right? Maybe they already don't struggle with these things, with the limiting beliefs, the mental barriers, etc. But I personally know I did for the longest time until everything started to open up because I just trusted and believed that what I was doing was going to work. And I also had the balls to think through like worst case scenario. One of my mentors, one of my marketing mentors, he talks a lot about how, you know, like this is the first thing he said to me when we started working together. He said, like, what's the worst case scenario? He's like, worst case scenario, you start this business, you lose your job, right? Or like you, for example, like worst case scenario when you start this business, he's like, you lose your career, right? The business gets shut down, you know, you lose all your money, you lose all your clients, right? Like you lose everything. Literally everything is ruined. But you're in the exact same position as you are right now. This is like when I was starting the business. I remember thinking on that, like, wow, that really puts things in a different perspective. Like literally, what is the worst case scenario if I do everything wrong and it all fails and crashes and burns? At least I get to sit with that and say, hey, I tried, right? I actually went out and went after the things I said I wanted, that so many people in my life told me weren't possible, that so many people pushed me away from doing and told me to get a regular job, to work a 9 to 5, to not pursue these business goals I had. That really is the worst case scenario, that I'm in the exact same position that I was in at that moment. So I said, I'm willing to sit with that if that happens. But the likelihood of that happening is very low. So, let's make it happen. And then we just ran, we took off from there. And like, bro, if you're watching this video, bro, like my mentor, like with he really just unlocked some things for me mentally. And it helped me start to take more action and believe in myself more. And I remember him telling me a story about how he had a mentor once who helped him with the exact same thing. And it's like, he was in my position once too. And now he's, somebody that's pushed me so far, and I'm appreciative of that. But I think where I'm going with this really is like, when you can sit with and understand that like worst case scenario, you really can't lose because at least you went out living the life you wanted. And most people just fail because they quit and they give up too early. So like hearing those things, hearing the worst case scenario, and then also looking at the upside of best case scenario made me want to continue to take action because I felt called and fulfilled and passionate about chasing these things that I'm after. And so I think truly finding somebody in the space that is a mentor to you, whether it's with your fitness, whether it's with your business, whether it's with your health or your mindset, whatever, or maybe somebody that works with all of them, universal. I think it's the best investment you can make because you're going to look back one day in your life on your life and you're going to have regrets. I know I had regrets when I started this business and I thought to myself, wow, this one nugget finally unlocked for me. And I should have started this thing, or I wish I had access to this thing way sooner. And I remember thinking to myself, if only I took action and I didn't doubt this 4 years ago when I was having all these thoughts. If only. But I'm like, you know what? No point in stressing or thinking about that in the past. Let's just keep moving forward. And that just allow me to keep making progress in my business, in my career, in my finances, in my fitness, etc. But I urge you guys that are young entrepreneurs out there, business owners, people that are looking to make a difference and make an impact on this world and actually genuinely make an impact and help people. Like if you're here, bro, like just to make money or just to buy some new drip, then bro, like just like unsubscribe from my channel because I'm really not trying to push that message. Some of that comes, which is cool, but really the most fulfilling feeling in the world for me has been helping people and making a change on their life because A, it's a good feeling, but B, I know what it's like being on the other side where I didn't have anything and that friend gave me that free course, right? Or like people when I was younger, when I had no money to work with a coach, when I was very young and I was playing sports, and I was trying to make my high school team and my middle school team, I had people that mentored me for free because they genuinely were like, dude, like I believe in you, right? And I didn't have the family members, the friends around me that did that, so I had people externally that weren't actually blood, you know, that helped push me to become the best version of myself. And my whole mission is to like help people do the same and pass on the knowledge that I've learned because I'm anti gatekeeping. Like, why would I gatekeep or hold information from somebody just because I know it? Like, especially when you get into business, you understand that like most of what you're paying for is implementation. All of the information is out there. All of the business coaches I've worked with and currently still work with, all that information I already knew, but I didn't know in the right order. I didn't know how to hold myself accountable. I didn't know how to implement everything. I didn't know which actions to take in which steps, in which order, in which sequence, etc. With the fitness, I knew that I needed to eat certain foods and I didn't know everything, but at least the information was out there. I could have accessed it, accessed it, right? But I didn't. And that's the benefit of working with a coach is like they're going to give you what you need, and they're not going to sugarcoat things. And so you can either pay with your time trying to figure it out all on your own, or you can figure out how to do it in the easiest time period possible. Um, so that's just my 2 cents. I will, because you guys are watching some of my content, I will drop a link below if you guys do want to hear more, because generally I'm so passionate about what I do, and I could go on and on and on. As you can see, it's 27 minutes and 15 seconds long. Um, I could talk all day about fitness, about business, about mindset, about faith, about career, all these things. Because literally, when I was younger, I was so restricted and I was holding myself back for the longest time because I didn't believe in the abilities that I had. I didn't believe in the things that were possible for me. But when I started to actually take action and surround myself with people better than me that had more results than I did, I started to see the results and live the life that I wanted. And I'm nowhere near where I want to be, but it's just super like fulfilling of a feeling knowing that every day you're waking up becoming the best possible version of yourself. And even if that's just getting 1% better, 0.5% better, but it was 0.5% better or 0.05% better, you know what I mean? Even if it's just a small increase, it's such a gratifying feeling knowing that I did more than I did yesterday and I got better than I was yesterday. And I'm you know becoming the best possible version of myself. So, like that being said, like I'm super passionate about helping people, and if anybody is in a position where you feel like, hey, you know, I don't know what to do with my business, and I know I have bigger things for myself, and I know that I can make a genuine impact on this world, and I know that I have good, true values, and I actually care about the genuine impact I can make on this world and the people around me, then you can click the link below, and we can just take some time to chat, man, and I'll walk you through if I feel that I can actually help you. I'll like hear about where you're at, of course, and like if I feel I'm actually able to help you, I'll just walk you through what's worked for me. Because literally, like gatekeeping information is something that I've never been able to like. I've never felt good about, right? And like my friends, other business owners, other entrepreneurs, when I find out information, I just like tell them. Like, why would I hold it back from them, right? Now, what I will say is, in order to access the information in the right order, you will need some accountability. And so that's what all my clients work with me on is accountability, making sure they implement and they stay the course. So if you do feel that like, hey, like, you know, I do see how working one-on-one with you would benefit my life, get my business up off the ground and get me making more money, allow me to improve my mindset around these things and start to see the tangible results, then we can talk then about how everything works. But generally, like, I just want to leave it open for like anybody that thinks that they might be looking for insights. You can just click the link below and schedule the time, because I remember always having this, there was always this gate up, right? When I was younger, of like, these people are on calls and they're like, I have to pay to get information. Like, well, never going to figure it out. And so like, I want to prevent all of that and actually help people. And then like in the scenario, they're like, hey, I'm looking for more. Then yeah, you can join my program, and that does cost some money. But really, like, just being able to help people is the main thing. So click the link below if you want help with your business and your mindset and getting your, whether it's a coaching business, consulting business, whether it's something different, in the online setting, they're all pretty much parallels, right? And so if you're looking for help, just click the link below, schedule a time. I only have availability at the moment for Saturdays, because the other days of the week, I'm filled up with my fitness coaching. If you guys want help with your fitness, check out some of my other videos that will walk you through what my process looks like. Or you can check my Instagram out at jstroudfit. But yeah, I'm gonna leave you guys there with that. And I think the one thing I want you guys to all take away from this video is invest into a mentor, because it will literally change your life. The more information you have, the faster it's applied, and the more data you collect, the more you know what works and what doesn't. And if you knew exactly what worked for every area of your life, you wouldn't need to do anything, bro. You would just be chilling on an island somewhere. But the thing is, we always have problems. And so it's always a matter of determining, outweighing on that scale or the seesaw, right? Are you willing to waste all your time hoping that it works, but not knowing for certain if it does? Or do you want to invest your money and your energy with a proven process, with somebody that's done what you say you want? Because that's where I was in the past. And I eventually, after sitting with it enough times, I just saw this one video. I'm like, dude, this is the guy for me. Let me join his program. And I joined his program, and I paid him a lot of money. And then I paid in another program, and these people I still work with to this day, right? And this is why I just urge you guys, because I don't want any of you guys looking back one day on your life and saying, like, imagine what could have happened if. Because I thought about it like that for the longest time. If I took the risk sooner. But there's no way of thinking like that. Just take action now. The first action and the only action you really need to take is just making a decision. Are you going to live the life that you say you want? Because if so, the information, the access to it is right here. Or are not? Are you not? Are you going to just step back and say, like, I'm content with where I'm at? Because if you are, that's cool. Like, you don't have to do anything. You don't even have to be watching this YouTube video. But I genuinely want to be able to help people and make an impact on this world. And so this is my way of saying, if you want help, click a link below, or the link below. It's been a long day. Been like group coaching calls, one-on-one calls. Been doing some like messaging with some of my clients, and brain's a little bit tired, but yeah, guys. So like, just make the decision. Either take the action or take the other action. But don't do what 99% of people do. 99% of people say, I'm going to think this over and I'm just going to think on it. And then they end up self-sabotaging because they don't take any action at all. And subconsciously, what you're doing, I'm a fitness coach, and I really work on the psychological level, on the brain, and like why we make the decisions we make. On a subconscious level, what you're doing to your brain in that point of not making a decision, really it's a decision of inaction, right? You're making the decision to not take action. But what you're doing when you're contemplating is you're basically telling yourself subconsciously, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I don't know what to do, I'm not smart enough, all these things, because you're not choosing. So like, this is why I'm so big on like, just choose. Are you going to do this thing or are you not? And if you can choose one or the other, as opposed to floating somewhere in the middle, then at least you can say with a no, okay, I'm confident in my abilities. So just choose, bro. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Again, jstroudfit on Instagram. And just like become the person you want to be. Achieve your ideal physique. Achieve your ideal life. Trust in God. Put your faith first. Have the proper mindset. Read information. Read more books. The book I'm reading right now, for you entrepreneurial savvy people out there, is called Blue Ocean Strategy. Highly recommend. It's like, bro, it's literally like so entertaining. And yeah, stay tuned. I'll see you in the next video.